Let it open up, and there it is, and we're just going to create a new project. Now understand, in Visual C++, I've already mentioned this, you have a lot of options, a lot of things that can happen. We're going to create a Win32 console application. I'm going to put a name on it here, and I'm just going to call it VTC Win32 console EX, for example. Alright, so there's a nice long hard to remember name, so that should work for most anything in IT. And then I will hit OK, and then it opens the application wizard, and notice it's telling me that there's some settings, console application. I'm going to click next, not finish, because I don't want pre-compiled headers. I just want an empty project. I want a blank slate that I can work with. I would strongly encourage you to go through and play with these different things and see what you end up with. But for now, we'll just click finish. And then the environment will open up. Now we could easily sit here the rest of the day and wonder, wait a minute, nothing's happening, what's going on? Well, if I will open Solution Explorer, just click on that, you will see that it has indeed set my files up for me, but there's not a whole lot here. So what I'll do is left click on Source Files, then right click, and I'll add a new item, and I will add a C++ file. Then I need to name that, okay, and we'll just call it VTC console example. And then I will click add, and you will notice that if I look in the Solution Explorer, it added it out here. Now let me show you one thing that will be kind of a gotcha sometimes, and it could be a problem for you. When you're trying to write just standard native C++, go to the project and come down to the properties on the project, come out to the property pages, click on configuration, and notice it says use Unicode character set. Set that to not set. Alright, click apply, and then click OK. But we don't want to use Unicode here. We're just trying to use standard native straight clean C++. Alright, and I'm skipping some things here, but I don't want to make it overly complicated. Alright, so let's just write a few lines here. Let's start off with an include statement. Let's include the IO stream. Alright, and this allows us to stream things in and out to the console. And then we will open with our famous integer main. This is telling us that we're creating the main function here. And it's really hard to type and talk, but we're creating the main function here, and it's going to return an integer when it has completed running. And so what we're going to do is put a pretty simple thing in here, std : COUT, and you can see that IntelliSense is finding these for us, even though I'm not using it a whole lot. Understand one thing here, a little reminder, this is a namespace deal with the 2 colons here. Standard is the namespace, 2 colons, and then cout or console out is what we're going to use, and then we'll put our 2 left arrows here. We'll talk about those a little bit later on and what they do. It's pretty obvious what they do. This is a simple hello world from VTC. That's corny enough for a simple example, and we will close that literal statement out. We will put another set of our symbols there, and we'll put std, and that is namespace again, and we'll put end line. That's telling it that we're done here. Then we'll close our line out, we'll drop down, and we'll tell it to return a 0 back out to the operating system, basically saying everything is okay. Alright, now we'll talk about a lot of things that are going to go on here that I'm not going to mention. We'll come back to them a little bit later, and we'll cover these things. But for now, just know that we are going to send this information out to the console when our program runs. So what we need to do is come up here and just simply start debugging. Click here, and notice it says the project is out of date, and would you like to build it? And we can say yes. We can say don't show this dialog again. I'll leave it alone for now. You'll notice at the bottom on the output window, we're seeing what's happened. And if you saw the black box pop up here and go away, the program ran, and it looks like it was okay. Notice native, the console execution native has exited with code 0. That means it looks like it ran okay. But how can we see it? Well, I'm going to show you a trick, and it's kind of a neat thing in Windows 7 if you're running Windows 7. I'm going to go actually find the executable and run it. There's an easy way to do that. I'll click on my little documents folder down here on the taskbar, I can just as easily go to the C drive and chase it down through the users. But if you'll open it off of the taskbar, the start bar down here in Windows 7, you can see the libraries folder. And then if I go into documents, I will actually be able to see Visual Studio 2010. And if I go into that, you will see projects. Now, any projects that you've built in Visual Studio will be in here, and I cleared mine out so as not to confuse you. But notice if I go in here, this thing was actually built, my executable notice is in that debug folder. Well, I'm going to back up one time, hold down the shift key, and then right click on that debug folder and say open command window here. Left click, and then I can just do a quick directory dir, and I can see my executable, and so I'll just type it out. VTC Win32 console EX, press enter, and notice there's my line. You have to look for it here. This is a simple hello world from VTC. So our program ran. That's a very simple example of a native C++ program written in Visual Studio 2010 C++ Express.